Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Hendrix. Welcome back. You are here for the Madden 23 CPU versus CPU gameplay slider settings analysis on All Pro difficulty. Now, hopefully you found this video because you already watched the rookie analysis of rookie difficulty. And I kind of feel like it's a natural progression to start at the lower difficulty levels because the gameplay just kind of plays differently there. It's kind of the base setting. A lot of what I said about the generic slider settings back in the rookie video I probably won't repeat here, but some of it I will just because it's relevant and this is a different video. So bear with me if I say things that you may have heard in the other video. But this is an all new experience. All different experience with All Pro, and let's get into this. Alright, so you're going to want to go into the settings and change the skill level to All Pro. It probably was already set to rookie from the last time, but this is a new career mode here that I set up, a new franchise with the Buccaneers. And I specifically chose the Buccaneers because they have a little bit more proficient offense. They have Tom Brady, a pocket passer, and they have a pretty good offensive line with some pretty good tackles around them. So on All Pro, the pass rush is heavier, but if you have a good line, your pass protection and your offensive line should be able to buy you time, especially if you have a good quarterback like Tom Brady. Game style, I'm setting to simulation. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. I've never really tested arcade mode or any of the other modes. And there might actually be some really good gameplay that's simulated out there on CPU versus CPU. I've never tried it. I've always done simulation. So until somebody tells me that I should try arcade mode, I guess I will always have simulation here. League type, all, that doesn't really matter. Instant starter. Now I have heard from people that if you set this to on, it will affect certain things, or if you set it to off, that there might be some extra points you get on the simulation or on the CPU versus CPU side of things. I haven't witnessed that myself, so I'm just going to default to instant starter off. And same with coach firing. I've heard that if you have this on, that it affects certain things. I usually leave this to on. Superstar abilities, I default this to off for reasons I talked about in the rookie video. Not that I'm opposed to badges and abilities, I just don't want to see superheroes on the field, especially if it adversely affects gameplay in any way. I always disable relocation settings. I don't want there to be any new cities or anything like that in my franchise unless I want it. And oh yeah, going back up to trade type, I usually just put enable human to start off with because I don't want the CPU to be making crazy trades. Later on I'll turn them on, like for the off season, or I might even execute some trades myself, but I usually just put enable human on that. Okay, we can move on to league sliders. Just get to that tab and scroll down to CPU skill. Don't worry about human, that doesn't impact on CPU versus CPU. And I will say right off the top that we will be defaulting to 50 on most of these sliders. You have to be really careful when you're adjusting these. Unlike on rookie mode where you can make a couple little tweaks, it doesn't really multiply it that much. On higher difficulty modes it will multiply everything. You might not like the results, you bump up one little thing and it just might not be what you're looking for. Always try default 50 unless there's something you just can't live with, and then maybe try adjusting it. And I will say the game did not always play like this. This is after multiple patches, and try uninstalling the game, delete the Madden profile because that has an impact on just how the game plays on CPU versus CPU, how it launches animations, how it scripts the game, and there's just all kinds of stuff we can get into. Unlike on rookie mode where quarterback accuracy sometimes is sacrificed a little bit for the purpose of the gameplay, the quarterbacks do make pretty solid decisions on All Pro and they are generally pretty accurate. So your completion percentages will be higher than they would be on rookie mode. I'll be bumping up the injuries to 25 from their default 10. I keep fatigue at 50, and I always bump up minimum player speed threshold to 100. I know a lot of players play at 50, that's the default setting. I just like the way the game plays and looks when that's up higher. That creates less speed differential between like the really speedy players and say linebackers and linemen. I've also observed that it's an effective way to keep total offense down on certain modes. So if you're kind of a stat hound like me and you don't want to see crazy offense every single game, this is an effective way to do that. Penalties, most of these are on 50, but I always adjust holding. I put it up to 54. That's a nice little happy place where they'll actually call some holdings. But also I've discovered that that's kind of that range where the offensive line will actually get into the defensive line and stop some of the penetration. And, the running game won't be dominant, but at the same time, the defensive line will make plays in the running game. Defensive pass interference, I've always played at 57 on this. You don't want it too high because then it'll be crippling against the passing attack and you won't score very many touchdowns. But you don't want it low because then they'll never call any. Roughing the passer, this has got to be set to 50 on higher difficulties. On a rookie, you could take some liberties and make it 51 just to get them to call one once in a while, but if you set it to 51 on All Pro, they will be calling it all day, so. And I will add that there are certain sliders that impact gameplay, especially CPU versus CPU, and those are penalties, injuries, and fatigue. Those absolutely have an impact on gameplay. So you have to adjust those, play around with them, and decide what you want the game to look like. There is the possibility that I might have the injuries set too high. I've been noticing a lot of injuries in the games I've been playing. A lot of them aren't serious though, so there might be one serious injury a game. Not really sure how those line up with real stats, but I might be okay with that for now. Something to note about penalties. You would think it would be a simple matter of you bumping up penalties and get more penalties called, but it doesn't seem to be that way. It's not you bump it up and the referees call more. I think it's you bump it up and the players commit more. So illegal block in the back, if you actually touch that, guess what? You're going to see that on the field. And that's why I never touch legal block in the back. I never touch face masks because you might get some weird animations and just some weird outcomes that might impact the game in a negative way. But that's definitely your choice and your personal preference if you want to touch those and kind of experiment and see what happens. You could always comment and let me know how it goes. NFL live playbooks, I've never really experimented with this. I've always just defaulted to off because I've heard people say that it doesn't work very well. And I kind of like the way the playbooks are now, but maybe I'll play with that and tell you how I feel about it later. So here we are, we're finally getting into the game a little bit. I'll take this little lull in the action to kind of tell you about my experiences with all Madden mode. So all Madden, you get into it, you play CPU versus CPU, and you get some pretty nice outcomes. The scores are a little low. Offensive yards are probably exactly where you'd like them to be. But there are certain things that you have to be aware of when you accept that play mode. Interceptions are a little out of hand. I've seen one per team per quarter, on pace for like 5 a game. And some of these were with some pretty good quarterbacks too, so I didn't love that, but I did love how stingy the defense was and how you really have to work in the passing game. The short passing game is full tilt, and the defense is there to stop it. And the run game, you're lucky to average 4 yards a carry. You got to have a really good offensive line and a really good running back, and probably playing one of the worst teams in the game. A poor defense in order to get your running yards, your rushing yards up. But all be told, I mean, I like the way it looks. Just, yards are hard to come by and scores are hard to come by. Okay, well, we'll return to this game. The kickoff takes place. He fields it. He runs it upfield a little bit. Pretty good field position. Gets tackled. Pretty nice tackle there. So we're starting the game off, and everything looks good so far. Now, I will say this. They've been doing this since probably Madden 16 or 17. In the week 1 of the regular season, and in the preseason too, they do this. When introducing the quarterback, they always show the Madden ratings, not last year's stats, which I know exists because In the Play Now feature, you could see last year's stats, but for some reason, they want to throw Madden ratings up there. I wish they'd fix that. Okay, that play right there. Dak Prescott, the quarterback, a pretty accurate one. He's got time to throw, got a nice little pocket, and he finds his wide receiver who cuts up field. First down. This is the kind of play you're going to see a lot of on All-Pro difficulty. They don't miss throws very often, unlike rookie mode, so you can look forward to that. Higher completion percentages. Another thing you will see on All-Pro difficulty that makes it different than rookie is that the pocket tends to collapse a little bit quicker. On rookie mode, you have this big, huge pocket, and the quarterback has all time, all day, and on All-Pro, the pocket will collapse a little bit, forcing the quarterback to get rid of it. And he actually will get rid of it most of the time. There's always that difficult balance between the pass blocking and quarterback awareness. You do want the quarterback to get rid of it if the pocket is collapsing. One of the other things that Madden kind of has difficulty with sometimes. The pocket will collapse, the quarterback will just run backwards and take a sack or something. Or he'll get rid of the ball with some really awkward pass animation, maybe throwing across his body for like 50 yards or something. Okay, while I was talking there, Prescott had time again and makes a nice completion for a first down, and then they had a couple run plays in a row, and it looks like the running back was following his blockers pretty nicely, and yeah, some pretty decent run play in Madden there. On All-Pro difficulty, there can be some running lanes sometimes, but the defense is much better about filling in the gaps and making plays. It's a lot more realistic, especially if you're looking at your stats. Okay, and Prescott's in shotgun formation. He gives it to Ezekiel Elliott, the running back, and he tries to go off tackle and gets tackled, but there's that weird Madden animation where you get tackled like straight backwards. You used to see that back in the old game, back in like on the Xbox or the PlayStation 1. I guess it's not that big of a deal. But this play right here, Prescott buys a little bit of time, and the left tackle makes a great block and kind of pushes the pass rusher who looked like he was going to get around him, and then Prescott just throws it underneath and turned a potential loss into a pickup of about 5 or so. I guess there was 3 now that I see the scoreboard. And then that last play, Elliott gets the ball and he kind of does a spin move and goes around his left guard and almost gets the first down. Pretty nice play there, good defense. You got to work for the running game in this mode, I'll tell you what. Not the cleanest tackle animation though. Looks like Levante David did like a over-the-top flip, and I think there was some clipping there. I think he went between his teammates' legs. Just ugly, Madden. And speaking of ugly, they go for it on 4th down. Oh, I just love seeing the 4th getting shut down. So sick and tired of seeing going for it on 4th all the time. Looks like Akeem Hicks, former Bear, just made a play in the backfield. Stoned him. And that's the way it goes. Saunter back on defense, right? Okay, so here we go. Tom Brady. Got another chance to see what they can do with 9:34 left. And he gives it to the running back, and he finds a little daylight. Kind of a big hit there. He goes down. They go back to the huddle and reset the play again. I like the quick passing game. Tom Brady just gets the shotgun and he gets rid of it pretty quickly, and that's a first down. So I like those kind of quick action plays there. And speaking of quick action, there's a play action, and he takes a shot downfield. And I don't love the pass break up there and how the ball just kind of just goes straight back. And I feel like they need to work on their physics a little bit on that one. But and then coming back really quick on you, Tom Brady, he gets that shotgun, lets the ball loose almost immediately. Doesn't even really wait that long, and that looks like Evans, the beast, gets the ball and gets a first down, finds that first down marker. I'm always critical of Madden. Sometimes plays just don't look like football, but the quick passing game where the quarterback makes a quick decision and just gets rid of it, those are some of the prettiest plays in this game. And there's another quick passing play. Quarterback is in the pocket, gets rid of it pretty quickly,
the big-bodied wide receiver makes the catch, and I like how the cornerback is all over him. He doesn't have time to catch it and run up the field. It's good enough for a first down, though. Some of the benefits of being on All-Pro difficulty, quite evident there. The wide receiver shields off the defender. Had that been rookie mode, he probably went wide open by 5 yards, and he would have been able to turn upfield and pick up about 20 yards because the defender probably would have attempted a diving tackle and missed. But in this case, he's just right there. He allows the catch, but he doesn't allow any yards after. Okay, after the running back gets about 2 yards, Brady gets the ball and he throws the ball on that deep out that heads toward the sidelines. And that's a play that's in Madden for a long time. That kind of terrible catch animation right at the sideline. I wish they'd find a way to touch that up or just get rid of it altogether. But while that previous play didn't look very good, this one looked actually really nice. Brady gets the ball, he's got a clean pocket, he has time to look at his progressions, and he makes a throw to Evans down the middle of the field. He high points the football and just makes a nice secure catch there. And then added effort there, the defender actually touches him down, so it's probably an innovation, but it looks real nice when it's played out. Good play. Alright, let's go. So it looks like we finally have a score in this All-Pro difficulty Madden game. Looks like the right tackle just makes a nice little block there. He shoves his man, the pass rusher, down to the ground. Kind of similar to the other play. It might even be the same animation, but hey, we'll forgive it. It's a really nice throw, a really awesome catch. That's a nice touchdown. That's Julio Jones. Not that the Buccaneers need to get any richer there. And I have no idea what those Dallas Cowboy defenders are kind of taunting or celebrating there. They just got scored on. Madden, clean some of that stuff up, man. I have heard that they are working on some of the presentation elements. They released a new gameplay trailer, and I may even do a breakdown of it. Who knows? It does look like the game is much improved just from the little snippets that they shared with us. And I'm referring to the Madden 24 trailer. Okay, so the kickoff happens. Returner gets it, runs upfield, and gets tackled. Nice tackle animation. Alright, so here we go. Cowboys are going to run back on, and gameplay is actually pretty smooth so far. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Okay, Cowboys 1st and 10. Dak Prescott is the quarterback. He gets the snap under shotgun, and he has some time. Lets it fly just as he gets hit, and CeeDee Lamb makes the catch, and he gets a first down. Gets some yards after the catch, too. Nice play. The Dallas Cowboys are always good for their offense, right? That's kind of their MO these days. Prescott gets a lot of yards. They don't necessarily score a lot of touchdowns or win a lot of games, but they roll up yards, that's for sure. Alright, here we go. The next play. Prescott and shotgun. He gets flushed out of the pocket. But nicely, he has the wherewithal to roll out, gain about 9 yards, and then the Madden slide where you slide and you just fall short of the first down. Inches. And then on the next play action, roll out again. And this time he actually has a full head of steam. He's going. And there's that fumble, and it just kind of trickles out of bounds. Lucky for him. That is something that happens in Madden. I do hear they are addressing the fumble issue, though. That probably should have been recovered. Nice play, though. Nice run. First down. I do appreciate the quarterback awareness, though, on the higher difficulties. On all Madden mode, it is really proficient. On All Pro, it's good enough. Alright. Ezekiel Elliott is given the ball, and he's tackled immediately. Kind of a weird animation there. Tackle animation, but we can live with that. They get set up for the next play, and Prescott throws it and actually is defended pretty well. You don't see good pass coverage very often on the short passes, but that was a good job there. Alright, Prescott, he's got a kind of a small pocket there, collapsed, and he throws a pick, and that's actually a really nice read. He had the man open, but it was read by the cornerback, and That right there is just a good example of some decent pass coverage. Yeah, see, there's the replay, and he's right there, man to man with his tight end Schultz. That's Jamel Dean. Made a good break on the ball and picks it off, giving Tom Brady another chance. I talked about it a little bit earlier, how all Madden, there's just a pick around every corner, interceptions galore. The game is probably a little too good at picking off even good quarterbacks. All pro, there seems to be a pretty nice mix. They happen. They shouldn't happen all the time. On rookie difficulty, they almost never happen. I think I did record one. I might have had one in the game that I did the analysis of when I was trying to play my franchise pretty early on in a preseason game. I had a pick, so but I'm definitely like an all-pro in this regard. Now, just as I was wondering if Tom Brady was going to make him pay for that turnover, he gets a nice clean pocket and he really steps into that throw, and his man makes a diving catch, and that's a great play. First down, big play. All right, here we are. Brady's under center. Let's see how he handles this. And there's pressure, and he throws up a wounded duck, and it is picked off. Wow, okay. Oh, and a nice tackle there by, looks like a lineman. Oh, tight end maybe. Yeah, that's a really good looking Madden play right there. Now, I cringe a little bit at the pick because I wonder where this is gonna go. Is this gonna lead to, the interception-a-thon, the pick-a-thon? But you know what? When it plays out like that, he had a nice clean pocket for a minute. That's one of the reasons why teams don't run plays under center anymore. They go to the shotgun. You just get that little extra time. But yeah, he gets hit while throwing it, and he gets the wounded duck. Ball fluttering all over the place, and that's an easy pick. So I can't really fault it. It's a nice play. All right, let's see what the Cowboys do. Prescott gets a nice clean pocket, and he throws a frozen rope to CeeDee Lamb, his wide receiver, and that's a first down. We got about a minute or so left in the first quarter, and it looks like the Cowboys are going to push the ball downfield after the turnover and try to get some points here. All right, Cowboys in shotgun. Prescott calling signals. The ball is snapped, and he rolls to his right because there's immediate pressure. And look at that. What a nice way to avoid the sack. Geez, in previous Maddens, that would have been a sack all the way. There's no way that he gets away from that, but it's a pretty solid play by Prescott to at least pick up a few yards. And that is the end of the first quarter. You could see the plays there. 61 yards passing, 83 for the Cowboys. Didn't get a chance to see what the Buccaneers had, but the total offense so far looks on point. I think each team had over 100 yards, which is what you would expect from two pretty proficient offenses here. Prescott just completed a short pass there. It's now 3rd and 1. Oh, and there's a penalty. He drew him offsides. That's actually pretty encouraging to see. You don't see a lot of penalties called in this game just as a rule, but on the higher difficulties you do see more called. And yeah, that's a pretty nice little offsides that it was called there. Don't see that very often. Prescott gets the ball, got a nice pocket, and once again it looks like he hits his tight end, Schultz, for a nice completion down the middle of the field. First down. Looking at the replay, it looks like the linebacker, Levante David, has pretty good coverage, and he makes a tackle immediately. So, all right. Cowboys are rolling, and let's see what they do here. 1st and 10, Cowboys come to the line of scrimmage. Prescott's under center. The ball is snapped, and he gets away again from a sack, showing very good mobility, and he lets it go. The ball is batted down. Don't love that animation by the covering defender there, but he bats it down. It goes straight into the grass, and no way that play can be completed. Hey, I guess it's a good thing the defender made a play. Sometimes the defense gets to win, right? Offense can't always complete the pass. And then the play before that, finally a screen is executed, and it looks like they properly execute the screen. Usually the quarterback gets sacked, but he's able to get the ball away, and the running back catches it. Doesn't get very far, but hey, at least it's not a loss. I've come to the conclusion that completing and executing the screen almost solely rests on quarterback awareness. So you have to have the quarterback accuracy at 50 or greater, and all the other moving parts like pass blocking and catching, all that stuff is interactive and affects how the quarterback plays, how the passing game plays. Having a lower pass coverage helps, but we definitely don't want to operate with that low pass coverage. We want the defense to be proficient in how they execute. Okay, on to the next play. Buccaneers give the ball to the tailback, and he just gets absolutely destroyed. The defensive end came off. Actually, that looks like the linebacker, Micah Parsons, lined up as a defensive end. He came off and blew the play up. Now, I'm not really sure if this is kind of an AI glitch with Madden in the running game. It looks like the pulling guard was supposed to come over and block him, but maybe that's just a case of Micah Parsons being an awesome player, which of course he is in real life, although I'm not really sure how Madden ratings really translate to the product that's on the screen here. I think it probably matters when you're playing an opponent, but CPU versus CPU, you just gotta wonder how much of it is just animation driven and how much the ratings really matter. But hey, he's got speed, and speed matters in Madden, so he gets in the backfield. But one has to appreciate how good the defensive reaction is and how hefty the defensive line is. On rookie difficulty, they tend to get blown off the ball and you just have no chance, even if you have a good line. I think we saw that in the game that I analyzed before, but the Cleveland Browns have a pretty elite defensive line, and they're getting blown off the ball constantly by the Carolina Panthers. On all-pro difficulty, not a problem. Defensive will make plays. The defensive line will get off their blocks. It's pretty tough to run the ball. All right, so moving forward with the game, the Buccaneers couldn't complete the pass on the sidelines, so they end up punting. Cowboys have it, and Prescott completes a little short pass down the middle. It kind of looks a little weird the way that play art is constructed. You got the slot receiver running underneath just as the split end or the flanker, whichever one that is, kind of clears it. It just kind of looks like the players are going to run into each other. That's one thing that Madden can probably do a little bit better, is the spacing of players and situational awareness about where other players are so they don't just try to run into each other. This goes for teammates on offense and on defense. It's just always it's a visual problem more than anything. It's especially bad with regard to running backs that stay in the backfield to pass protect. They just never really get separation away from the quarterback. They're just kind of standing right on the quarterback's hip, and it just creates some ugly play look. I do realize there's probably nothing wrong with having two players standing next to each other on a football field. I'm sure it happens all the time in a real NFL game. But my eyeball sees something, and sometimes my brain wants to see something else. So it's just one of those things. The look and appearance of football. Now, while I've been talking and analyzing there, Cowboys ran a few running plays in a row, and I do, dare I say, I think I saw some clipping starting to creep in. Sometimes when the running back hits the hole and gets tackled in the line, you start to see some weird stuff happening, and I think some clipping was starting to happen. Players running into each other, the running back just falling through players. Really wish Madden could clean some of that up. Okay, so Dak Prescott has all day there, a nice clean pocket, but probably a little long there. I did see a blocking animation where the defensive end got thrown to the turf, but yeah, probably it's just one of those plays. You hope that the quarterback would turn upfield and try to run a little sooner. He did eventually do that, and then of course he does a slide and he's 4th and inches. That really frustrates me just to see that all the time. They always slide and kind of put the ball like behind themselves. They don't even try to reach the marker. But yeah, that's just one of those Madden plays. I wish the blocking wouldn't hold so steady and the quarterback wouldn't just stand there like a statue. But that's just Madden gameplay. Anybody who's been playing the game any length of time knows that that's just what happens and what the game looks like. We live with it. All right, folks. Well, we've analyzed one quarter and maybe pushing into a little bit deep into the second quarter. We could probably start to wrap things up and maybe give you my final thoughts on how all-pro difficulty looks. So after completing the rookie analysis, I felt pretty good about what we were seeing on screen there. Game looked pretty much like football. It was a pretty good, solid game that was going on in front of us. Wasn't too bad in the clipping department or the erratic AI. The stats made sense. They were running the ball. There was a lot of big plays. I was willing to live with it at the time. It was game one of a franchise. So these are the A team. This is the first team of both teams going at each other. And I was pretty happy with the results, and then I started rolling into my real franchise, my Chicago Bears franchise, and it started to tell a little bit of a different tale. I think once you start playing multiple games, the Madden profile, the errors kick in there, and the erratic AI, and then of course you just have more sample size. You're going against different types of teams, different skill levels, different team qualities. You started to get a lot of just unrealistic stats. We started to run the ball with crazy consistency and score really a lot of points. The Chicago Bears weren't a very good team last year. They weren't scoring points at this level. Although they did have a couple of games where they fixed their offense and they started a run-heavy offense, and they were averaging a lot of points during that stretch, but they weren't doing it throwing the ball. They were doing it running the ball. And you could still put up a lot of points on rookie mode. So now that leaves us to All-Pro. And I kind of settled in on All-Pro again because while I liked how rookie mode looked, I didn't like 400 and 500 or possibly even 600 yards of offense every game. So now here we're back at All-Pro. And I like how the defense will keep their players in front of them and make tackles and kind of limit the big plays. There's a lot of good there. I'm definitely going to be starting my franchise again on All-Pro, and I will be reporting back my results, or at least I'll be commenting on this video to see if I change my mind yet again. But I feel like these results I might be able to live with. Interceptions don't seem too crazy, although there was one on for each team. Two pretty decent quarterbacks, each threw one. Okay, well, that's fine. There are pretty good defenses as well. Running game wasn't too crazy. You do have to have a pretty good offensive line and a pretty good running backs in order to run effectively in this mode. And I do wonder how much game planning and if the other team focuses heavy on the pass and you decide to focus on the run, if that does help any. I've often wondered. So far, I haven't seen the results on the field. It's just something you do in the menus, and it doesn't really affect gameplay, but I will be testing this theory over the course of multiple games. I like the passing game. The pass rush comes really hard at the quarterback, but for the most part, the offensive line is up for the challenge, or at least in this game. Now, granted, Dallas Cowboys have good tackles. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have good tackles. They got, generally speaking, probably a pretty solid offensive line. So what is this going to look like when I throw up some bad teams? I throw up the Chicago Bears offensive line up there. Their two tackles, as is right now, aren't as effective. So maybe I'll see something different. We'll wait and see on that. But I like how the quarterback gets rid of the football, can even escape some pressure and make some plays in the running game. Justin Fields should feast on this, right? I like how the pass defense closes out on receivers. They generally keep the receiver in front of them, but then they're also in a position to try to make a deflection or try to make a play on the ball. Fumbles, from what I've seen, they might be one cause in this. The quarterbacks are susceptible, especially when they take off and run. They are susceptible to getting stripped. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. A couple things I'd like to address that I never really talked about in the other analysis video. Some of the presentation elements that are on the screen. So you got this momentum. You got this momentum system. And it's really overpowering as far as the gameplay goes. And that's fine. That's all well and good. If you want to design a game that has a momentum-based system, that's perfectly acceptable. There probably should be something. Now, should you have the turnarounds be so extreme? So if you take a couple sacks in a row, is it just going to get pegged the other way and you can't make any plays now at all? Or if you throw a pick, is it going to go back, swing? And then all of a sudden you're giving up 5 sacks and, the AI is giving up 3 straight touchdowns in the passing game. I don't know how I feel about that as a whole. It's kind of like the superstar system. I feel like that could be abused by the AI, and momentum is another thing that could be abused by the AI. And I don't love the fact that you can't turn off the mechanism on the front on the user display that shows it. I feel like I should be able to turn that off if I want to, because I like to make videos. I like to make realistic videos while I'm telling my franchise stories. And I don't necessarily want that to be on the screen, because if you're watching a TV presentation, you can't see what the momentum is. I mean, that's just silly to me. It's the same thing with the other things, the kind of team abilities that are tied to momentum that show up on the bottom right. Those things probably should be able to be turned off if I want to. I should be able to go into the menu and say, turn off all indicators. That includes ball carrier indicators. That also includes superstar indicators. So if I do decide I want to play with superstar abilities on, I feel like I should be able to turn that off so it's not just like showing in your face. Those are just some thoughts about the user interface and overall presentation. I feel like as a user I should be able to control. But other than that, those aren't really huge deals. I just would like them to make that customizable, that's all. Well, folks, we managed to watch the entire first half of that. So while the game gets into its halftime presentation, we're going to complete this analysis. I really hope my franchise on All Pro difficulty is going to pan out. I really don't want to start another franchise, but I have a feeling it's going to be pretty good. At least until Madden 24 comes out and I can get my teeth into that and start evaluating the slider settings and see if the game is going to be as good as they say it's going to. Alright, well, it wouldn't be a proper slider analysis video if we didn't look at the stats. So let's take a look at those. Okay, well, for a full disclosure, I'll just let you know that I did let the gameplay run for about 5 minutes into the third quarter. So these stats will reflect those 5 minutes. There'll be some more plays and some more stats that you didn't actually see. But let's get into these as they are. Okay, the score, 14-3. Buccaneers scored a touchdown in the third quarter. You didn't see that play out on the screen, but it happened. Total offense, 221 versus the Cowboys, 233. So Cowboys are putting up some offense, just not really translating to the scoreboard. Rushing yards, Cowboys doing the job more. That's their game plan, though. They've been running a lot more with Ezekiel Elliott. First downs, Buccaneers have been controlling the game with all those first downs there, 14. Cowboys had 11. Turnovers, well, there's the 2 there on the board. You saw those. Tom Brady threw 2 picks. Not his best half, but they are winning the game right now. Third down conversions, Buccaneers 4 of 6. Cowboys 3 of 8. Buccaneers just a little bit more efficient there. Tom Brady had 205 yards on 72% completion, a touchdown. That clearly is their game plan, is to throw the football, stretch it. Prescott has got 72 yards rushing. He's their leading rusher. That's the only reason they got those 100 yards rushing, I suppose. They've been holding Ezekiel Elliott down. Mike Evans, being the beast, number 1 wide receiver that he is, 8 catches, 101. No touchdowns, but he's a 6'5", big-bodied guy, and he better go up and get those balls. Makes a lot of money. He better do it. Julio Jones used to be one of the best wide receivers in the game. He probably made a bunch of money for that contract. Pancake blocks. I don't put too much stock in pancake blocks. Season stats don't record them anyway. They're just game by game. Tackles. Yeah, Devin White, Levante David. They're going to get a bunch of tackles. The Cowboys were trying to run the football. That's just kind of the way it goes with that. Tackles for loss. This is what I really look at. you got to really be careful with the tackles for loss because sometimes they can get a little outrageous. Doesn't look too bad here, though. There's a few players that have one each. The offensive line, you want the offensive line to get into the defensive line a little bit and not allow them to get into the backfield and get those tackles. So that's pretty good. I'm not going to look at kicking stats or punting or anything like that. Everything looks pretty solid. I'm not unhappy with this at all. So all in all, I think this is a pretty successful slider analysis of CPU versus CPU gameplay on All Pro difficulty. Hope you enjoyed watching this game. It is only one half of action, but I feel like we got a pretty good idea of how the game will play, just as long as you handle your little maintenance activities with the Madden profile and reinstalling the game every once in a while. I think it came out pretty good. I will be playing my latest franchise on these settings, so you'll be seeing those videos drop, and let me know what you think of them. I'm really happy with how this is going to turn out. I've been working on this for a while. This is all I have for today. It would be great if you could subscribe to my channel. I could always use the help, and that way you'll get all the notifications whenever I drop a new video. I may do some more analysis. I'll probably be doing a new Madden preview for the next game coming out. So it'd be great if you can join me on this journey. This is Hendrix, signing off.